Okay, if you're a parent right now, the whole AI explosion can feel, well, a little overwhelming. It's like a tidal wave of anxiety, right? Am I doing enough? Am I teaching my kids the right things? In this explainer, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're turning that panic into a clear, empowering action plan. So let's dive in.
So this is what started it all, right? This one quote from Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, just sent shockwaves through pretty much every parent group and school board meeting. It sounds like everything we thought we knew about getting our kids ready for the future was, well, just wrong. But is it? Let's unpack what's really going on here. So here's the big idea. It isn't that coding is dead. Not at all. What we're seeing is a huge shift in thinking. It's not about losing a skill. It's about seeing which skills are becoming way more valuable. We need to stop thinking like coders and start thinking like architects.
This really reframes the whole debate. You know, the common argument you hear is the calculator analogy. Saying we don't need to code is like saying we don't need math just because we have calculators. But that analogy is kind of flawed. A much better way to see it is this. AI is like a team of super efficient robotic bricklayers. The most important job isn't laying the individual bricks anymore. It's being the architect who has the grand vision, the one who designs the entire building and tells the robots what to build. So what does this actually mean for our kids? Well, memorizing the specific rules of Python or another language, that might become less important over time. But the thinking that goes into it, that structured, step-by-step, logical problem solving, oh, that is more critical than ever. It's all about how you think, not the specific tool you happen to be using. And you know what? This timeless skill actually has a name. It's called computational thinking. And this is the bedrock. It's the secret sauce. It's the ability to look at a huge, messy problem, break it down into smaller pieces, spot patterns, and then design a solution that works every time. And here's the best part. You don't need a single screen to teach it.
Seriously, you can teach this anywhere. Just think about the morning routine. It's basically an algorithm, a set of steps. And when your kid forgets their lunchbox, that's not a failure. That's a chance to debug the algorithm together. Or building with Lego, that is a perfect lesson in decomposition, taking a huge project and breaking it into small, manageable steps. You can even set up a treasure hunt with instructions like take 5 steps forward, turn right, and repeat that 3 times. Boom! You've just taught the concept of loops, a core programming idea, and you never even touched a keyboard. So if AI is the tool, what powers it? Your child's passion. That's the engine. Our real job is to help them develop deep domain expertise. That just means helping them get really knowledgeable in something they genuinely love, whether it's biology, art, history, or building entire fantasy worlds. Because that's what's going to let them ask the AI interesting questions and direct it with a real purpose. Okay, so our kids are building that foundational logic. They're developing a passion. But how do they actually use that in this new world of instant answers? Well, we have to teach them how to question the answer machine itself. This right here is the new essential skill. Think about it. In a world where an AI can spit out an answer to almost anything in seconds, the most valuable human ability shifts from knowing all the answers to asking brilliant questions. The quality of what you get out of an AI is 100% tied to the quality of what you put in. We can actually teach this. Let's call it the art of the prompt. So instead of a simple question like, what is photosynthesis? Teach them to add context. Explain photosynthesis to me like I'm a 5th grader. Teach them to give the AI a persona, act like an experienced astronaut, and describe what it's like to see the Earth from space. And this is so important. Teach them to ask for sources. Where did you get that information? And finally, teach them to iterate, to dig deeper with follow-up questions like, why did that happen? Or what's a completely opposite point of view? But you know, getting a good answer is only half the battle. The other half is teaching our kids not to just take whatever the AI says as gospel. They need to become the chief reviewer of that information, armed with a really healthy dose of skepticism and critical thinking. And here's a fantastic, simple framework for that review process. First up, verification. Is this actually true? Let's go check another source, just to be sure. AIs can and do make things up sometimes. Second, bias detection. Ask, whose story is this telling? And maybe more importantly, whose story is being left out? AI learns from the data we give it, and sometimes that data can be a little one-sided. It's a great way to think about what might be missing. Third, contextual awareness. Is the generic advice the AI gave us really the right advice for our family, for our specific situation? And finally, my favorite, metacognition. That's just a fancy word for thinking about your thinking. You can ask them, how did this answer change what you already thought you knew? Now, there's this big fear about something called cognitive offloading. Basically, the idea that AI will make our kids' brains lazy.
But look, we already do this all the time with GPS and calculators. The goal isn't to stop offloading tasks. The goal is to be strategic about it. Let's encourage them to offload the boring, tedious stuff so they can free up all that amazing brain power for the things that really matter: creativity, strategy, and big picture thinking.
And all of this leads us to the final, and probably the most important piece of this whole puzzle, and it's all about our role as parents. It's not about being the expert anymore, or the rule enforcer. We have to become something new.
The old way of parenting in a world of tech was being the gatekeeper, focused on rules, screen time limits, and just being afraid of the unknown. The new, much more effective role is the co-explorer. A co-explorer leads with curiosity and partnership. You don't have to pretend you have all the answers. Instead, you model what it looks like to learn something new right alongside your child. You turn that fear into a shared adventure. This one phrase, right here, is your parental superpower in the age of AI. I don't know. Let's find out together. It takes some humility, for sure, but it is pure magic. It tells your child that it's okay not to know things, that their questions are valuable, and most importantly, that you're on the same team.
And when you adopt this co-explorer mindset, everything changes. Seriously, you're no longer having the same old fight about screen time. You're grabbing these moments as opportunities to connect and learn. Exploring these tools together builds a foundation of trust that is way more powerful than any parental control or firewall you could ever set up.
A great way to put this into action is to build a little AI ethics framework for your family. And that sounds complicated, but it's not. You just turn these big ideas into simple questions. For fairness, you ask, hey, is using this fair to everyone? For transparency, we're not just going to trust this blindly. Let's get curious. How does this thing even work? For accountability, if the AI messes up and gets something wrong, who's responsible for that? And maybe the most important one, for human well-being, let's make sure we're using this to make our lives better, not to stop talking to our family and friends. So that's the path. It's the path from being a panicked gatekeeper to an empowered co-explorer. It's a path that focuses on timeless logic, deep passion, and a healthy dose of critical thinking. Because at the end of the day, our goal isn't just to prepare our kids to survive in an AI future, it's to raise the generation that's going to build that future wisely. So, the only question left is, how are you going to start that conversation tonight?